I think the biggest thing that we're seeing through testing the shoe, I think the first thing is really that we see people hit the middle of the club more often. The strike location map is a great indicator, and I think if you look at anybody, if you hit the club more often in the middle, what you're going to see is you're going to see an increase in ball speed. So ball speed is the first figure that we would look for. That would twin in with smash factor, so ball speed and smash factor being so intrinsically linked together. I think you'll also see, in some instances, an increase in club head speed, particularly if someone's using a spike shoe for the first time. If they've been a spikeless player for a while and all of a sudden they go into a spike, we're seeing an increase in club speed. Ultimately, I think if you're looking at this shoe, you're always going to see the best data when you go to the extreme element of the bag, because I think what we're talking about here is traction. And certainly when someone's hitting a driver particularly, the traction is most compromised. So I think certainly the driver, we see a real improvement in dispersion, we see a real improvement in distance, and I think that's probably the club that I would be using the most if I can. I think with generally if you're going to go into the irons, I think again talking about traction, you're going to be using that in your longer irons. I think the differential certainly with a wedge or something maybe isn't quite the same. That's purely because of the way the club interacts with the ground, the spin rate, etc. And also because you aren't applying as much force. So generally I would be looking in the longer clubs where extremes of traction would be tested the most. And I think generally we're seeing the results in those areas of the bag to be a lot more significant. For me, most importantly, and I think the thing we work on as a team really is consistency. And I think every golfer, if you really asked them what they wanted to improve, consistency would be the main factor. And certainly we're seeing a much lower dispersion on TrackMan. So if we're taking a sample of 10, 15, 20 shots from a player, the grouping tends to be a lot tighter when they're using the Under Armour shoe. And I think that really links back to the location of the strike, the consistency of the strike. And yeah, look, there's some increase in distance, but that's not necessarily the most important thing. The most important thing is that people are not only a little bit longer, but they're a lot straighter.